So back on our diesel step side, we got the front clip on, we got some other things in place, but before we just completely cruise into the wiring and finish that up, which is coming in a later video, we need to get some basic things done. We don't have battery trays, we don't have the air system installed or complete, we don't have the vacuum system installed or complete, and there's a whole bunch of little mechanical things that need cleaned up in order to get the wiring even, in sort of some completed fashion. And anyway, we need to finish up the engine compartment is what I'm saying. So this video, we're going to do basically a whole bunch of little odds and ends to kind of bring this into a state of organization. I just realized my significant other is not going to like the fact that I'm wearing this ratty old t-shirt, but it kind of reflects the state of my level of caring for things like that. So well, there you go. So battery trays. So I think I mentioned it before, but I'm going to reuse these original battery tray frames since they've been basically custom fabricated for this truck, and they're pretty heavy duty with the exception of the bottoms. He put wood plates in there. No matter what you put in, it's going to deteriorate from battery acid, but we are going to put steel plates in here. I'm going to weld them in, and that'll save me from having to fix this because it'll just be a welded in bottom plate. So we got here 12 inches by 7 inches. I'm hoping this is the same. This is a little smaller. Well, why would you do that? 12 by 6 3/4. So 12 by 7 and 12 by 6 3/4. Well, that's interesting. And then we just hope that whatever batteries we get, we can fit in there. But I'm pretty sure this engine would run off of one battery. It might tend to start a little slow, and if it's a little cold out, I would rather have the two batteries for the amperage. In an ideal world, in a truck like this, I would do it like they do in a semi-truck and put the batteries like under the side where they're easier to access, and then the size doesn't matter so much because you can custom fabricate a case. But this really isn't that kind of truck. So let's clean these up a little bit and cut some plates and get these fitted up. I am going to heavily POR 15 these when I'm done, and although they have some rust holes and things in them, they're still stronger than like a stamped sheet metal battery tray. So even in this format, they would be plenty strong enough for what we're doing. Especially this one is heavily fabricated because he used, I guess, some of the factory bracketry here. But all right, let's fabricate some of this up. So for the bottoms, we're going to use this 1/8 inch thick steel plate that I have here, and I think we already got a decent corner started here. Well, good enough for my purposes. So I'll just cut 2 sections out of this and weld them in over there basically.
Alright, so I think for this battery tray, I think he used those 2 mounting holes, if I remember right. I think we can use them again. Get the long size ratchet. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. If he had, I guess he didn't have any more support. I guess that was it. Huh? Works successfully. Even a hole down there. There is a mounting hole like there would be from the factory there, and I think I can run a bolt up through. Okay, this battery tray is in nice and solid here. Can bolt it through the fender. I needed to raise it a little bit. This liner has a ledge because this is a little bit, it's a different year liner. I don't remember what it is. Anyway, a lot of them have different shapes and stuff, and well, yeah, that's fine. I put some spacers in there. So that battery tray is complete. We got plenty of room to work around it. So yeah, onto the driver's side tray. All right, second battery tray is in. Just had to drill a hole in the fender there. It's got a support on the inner fender, and it's bolted through here. So, and we can still access our hydraulic reservoir, which I'm gonna have to remember to fill, but I'm not gonna do anything with that until I do the brakes, because we're putting on a Hydro Boost unit. Hopefully, if I can manage to rebuild it. Okay, battery trays are in. Okay, I need to remove these coolant lines. So we're gonna take it off here, leave that hose intact for now, because that's a little hard to get to. Take this one off there. Pull this heater out. I don't even know if it works, but we don't need it anyway. We're in Florida. All right, so I took off that cooler took off that block heater. It's not really a block heater, it's a coolant heater. And I put on this hose adapter that goes from 2 1/4 down to 1 3/4, and then we just need an elbow and stuff down there. I'll have to order that. I don't have any. Up here, it's going to be kind of the same thing. We just need a 90-degree 1/2 to 2-inch adapter. And then this hose, I'm glad I left this hose on, because we need to adapt it from 5/8 to 3/4 to go into there. And then, or the other way around, one of these needs to be adapted. And then the other one needs to go on the other side of the heater core. I'm not going to worry about the direction of the heater core. One is in specifically and one is out. I think in is the 3/4 on the top, but I'm not really going to be using the heat anyway too much, and I think I'm going to end up having it backwards. Let's see, that means that this will be the in hose, and I think this is actually supposed to be the out hose. It goes in. No, maybe I do have it right. Maybe it comes out through up here. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter. It won't change the direction. It'll just change which way it goes in and out of the core. That's fine. Worry about that later. Anyway, I need a 5/8 to 3/4 hose adapter to go into those hoses. Well, we have to resolve the rest of our cooling system. Basically, we have to go from big lines on the engine to smaller lines on the radiator. And as I explained before, I don't like doing this because you're going to have a flow reduction, but there's nothing I can do about it. I explained this radiator situation before, so I won't bore you by doing it again, but basically this is the radiator we're stuck with. So you can buy silicone reducers these are good up to about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And well, if this engine gets up to 300 degrees Fahrenheit, it's dead at that point, so they should be well more than sufficient. So we've got 45 degree, oh, no, that goes down there. 45 degree adapter. We already have the 2 1/4 to 1 3/4 adapter. So this is a 1 3/4 elbow. And then we've got, I don't know, we've got a metal, I gotta find it. We've got a metal adapter to go from 1 3/4 to 1 3/4. And up here we've got 2-inch adapter to go in there. And then this will go in here. Oh, heater hoses, that's part of the coolant system. So on this engine, they're both 3/4, I think. One has to be reduced to 5/8 for the heater core. So we're gonna reduce one down with a brass reducer. And we're gonna run the same silicone hose, which is good for 300 degrees, to the heater core. And that should complete our coolant system. So let's just hook up all those hoses real quick and then see what we have. I think as far as routing on the heater hoses, there's battery here, big air cleaner. I'm gonna try to go maybe down and around this way rather than kind of straight or curved, or I want some extra in the hose to play with because I might want to add a shutoff when I get to the AC, which I'm not going to do just yet. I want to get everything working first, but I want the space and room and option to add that, and the best place to do that is over there out of the way. So we're going to try to route our heater hoses, you know, out of the way to start with. All right, coolant hoses are in place. Left this nice flexi hose because I know some people like that. Got our lower rad hose and our coolant, our heater core hoses. Okay, so for vacuum, here's the kind of manifold that he was using. I believe this was bent up this way and this was mounted up on the firewall. So this was mounted into here. That's what he was using as a manifold to distribute vacuum. I don't know why he added all these other ports on here. This must have been taken off whatever vehicle this engine originally came out of. Let's see why I can't reuse this, just modify it a little bit. And all I really need is this one coming off the end here to go to my sender. Let's take some of these off, maybe come up with some more compact caps here, and well, let's see what we got. Okay, we didn't need all those extra. They were just apparently compression fittings, which if I ever put any more vacuum lines on this, they're just going to be lines, and I didn't want those ugly compression fittings on there because there was no need to anyway, and one of them had a broken off line and so forth that I would have had to cap, and it was just easier to cut them off and cap them. So now we have basically an adapter for free from this size down to our hose size, which I believe should go into that. Let me verify that before I go too much further. Yep, a little bit of help from a adapter kit. Yeah, now we can run this up and over the firewall to our sender. So I'm gonna figure out where to put this, keeping in mind that I have to mount lots of things up here, and of course I'm limited by the tube it fastens to. In an ideal world, I would, I don't know, make it go here or something. Let's see what we wind up with. I don't want to overbend that too much. Okay, so we have our vacuum manifold fastened in there, coming from our vacuum line. It also tees into the tank down there. And then I ran a line up and over. So have it to our vacuum port over here, and this goes to the inside vacuum for the cabin HVAC. And so we just have to tag in our wiring. This gets power and ground, and then of course the signal out. Alright, so this air regulator, I was very uncertain about this because, you know, it's been sitting for so many years, so I wanted to check and make sure it wasn't rusted shut or anything. So I took it apart, and the springs and inside are really good, not terrifically corroded. And I believe that this is a filter. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm not familiar with this type here. I believe that this is a filter, and it appears to be clear, and that just screws into the bottom here, so that's why I think it is just a filter there. So I think we're good here. I may spin this off and make sure there's not a check valve or anything down in there that needs cleaned out, but I think the whole thing is pretty clean. So overall, oh, I guess this comes out. This is the, yeah, well, we'll take a look at that. Let's take it apart a little bit further just to be sure, because I do, although I don't need air for this truck for my plan for the brakes, because I don't like, you know, air brakes except on big trucks, and I don't think it's legal anyway on small trucks. Well, not the way they had it set up. Anyway, I do plan on using the air for like an onboard air system for various other things like pumping up tires or off-road use, pumping up tires, things like that. So let's break this down a little further and see what we got. Okay, so this comes off like this. There is a brass gasket there. That comes out, and then without the filter down there, you can see it is completely clear through there and completely clear through there. Actually really clean inside. Doesn't look like it was ever used much, which fits with, oh, there's another gasket there. Fits with the history of this truck from what I've seen, that it wasn't actually driven much. And the ball bearing seats in this cup here and then seats down into here. I guess this whole thing gets pressed down against the seat down in there. That would make sense. And then this is the spring pressure up off of it. So this whole thing here is the valve. It just fits down in there just like that. I guess comes up or down based off of the spring pressure from this. So yeah, and I don't know what it's set at. We'll have to take care of that. Oh, this has a release here. If you pull this, move out of the way there. If you pull this against the, pull this up on the seat, I'm assuming that's the air pressure release because it contracts the spring. So we'll probably be running it with that. It's a good starting release too for the compressor, but I'm not, it probably has a built-in one, but I'm not sure. But this all works. It's not corroded, so we're going to put this back together and use it, since it's a very expensive piece, and this is all brass and stainless, so I would like to use it. If you shake this now, you can't hear anything, but if I release the pressure, if you listen close, you can hear the valve and the ball bearing rattling in there. So we are good. So ordinarily, I think you would adjust the pressure with this nut. If you back this nut off this handle, you could get this handle up, but it seems to be stuck in whatever adjustment position it was in for now. I think I'm just gonna let it there. I can always free it up later. There's a screw in the end of that. Oh, maybe you screw it in and out. Let me see. I didn't think we were going to get off completely scot-free with this. I did end up snapping off one of the screwdriver points. It was brittle with age, but we do have some adjustment now in and out, and it should give us enough to adjust whatever pressure we need. I mean, if it was set at, you know, somewhere to 60 to 100 pounds of pressure, then, you know, we have plenty of adjustment room, plenty to back it off. But as far as increasing pressure, you know, but it's a very fine line between adjustment when you get to that stage. So I think we've got plenty, because we can back it off all the way to there if we hold the end here with the vice grips. If I hold this here, I can adjust it. So that's all we need. You know, once I have it set, I'm probably never going to adjust it really, so not too worried about that. We can find a place to install this. I wish I had a nice bracket for it, but I do not. The other guy, previous builder, just kind of hung it there, and I don't know. Maybe that's what we'll do too if I can't find a bracket, but maybe a hose clamp around something. I don't know. Let's see what we wind up with here. Okay, this is what we're doing for now. I don't know how I'm going to do the air takeoff for actual use yet, so I'm just putting a quick connect fitting on this regulator. This is going to be in from the compressor like it was before, and this is going to be in from the tank like it was before, and it'll self-balance with this system, at least the way I understand it. I'm not an expert on these things, but that's the way it was plumbed, so I'm going to make some assumptions that it was at least half plumbed correctly before. And we have our air pressure sender on here, so I think we can just, this is heavy, I'm hoping we can find a place to mount it, or I'll have to fab a quick bracket, but for now my main goal is to get this in so I can get it running. So let's see, maybe we can hook this to the fender, I don't know, let's see what we got. So here's where I installed it. It should be below the air cleaner and still accessible, although to adjust the pressure I think we're going to have to move the air cleaner. But that is fine because it's tough enough that I need both hands to do that, but you can release the spring pressure. It's fastened in well enough, so I mean, we'll just leave that open for now. That line going from the big line going down to the air tank is a little tight. I don't like that, but that's the way he had it wired. Wired? Plumbed. So I guess we will leave it. So one thing we don't have for this is a stop cable or a solenoid setup. I don't want to really add excess, you know, complications with an electric shutdown solenoid. So I'm going to go back to the cable, and our old cable was not salvageable. It was rusted solid through and wasn't really working. So I'm going to install this, and rather than desecrate our nice dash, I'm going to use this hole that would be for the fuel tank transfer switch. So I made this plate. I'm going to paint it, but I wanted to show it to you before it looks nice. You know, I'm going to put it there, and then, you know, big washer, fender washer on the inside to clamp it together. And that'll be the stop cable, and I'll probably run it through one of the rubber grommets that I put in, which again, then I don't have to drill holes in the firewall. Probably run it through this rubber grommet, or possibly this one right here. Probably this one, because it'll be right by the throttle cable. That'll give us a nice clean installation of that without messing up our dash. So I'm going to clean this up and we'll put this cable in. I think I got it long enough. Okay, let's paint this up, make it look kind of nice, and then we can mount that. Okay, I put in this cable stop, and basically it's just a cable that runs out to the pull lever for stopping the engine. So not too hard, just it works. So since we're using a GPS speedometer, we don't need this takeoff here. We're going to replace it with this plug. It's a very expensive plug, but it's the right one. So I'm going to pull this out and we're going to cap it. Okay, we got the plug in. Don't know if I have it tight enough. I'm afraid to over tighten it because it has an O-ring, but I can always make it tighter. So we'll maybe have to go back and tighten that. I don't know, but got that sealed up now. Here's what we got out. This is actually, gear is actually good shape. I'm going to keep that because you never know when you need a spare. And I may have ruined the adapter. I don't know. I had to get a vice grips on there because I don't know. You can always get a new one of those. I had to get a vice grips on there because this was recessed too far to get a socket on it. As you can see, the corners started to round off, so I'll probably keep this right angle adapter. This is handy and it works. So I'll clean that up and keep it because, you know, add it to the stockpile.
So now we got the engine compartment squared away. I think we can dig into the wiring. Hopefully we can slam that out in one video. I don't want to make it too long and boring. That's going to be upcoming here pretty soon, but just going to kind of skim through the basics and show you what we did to get this kind of very custom arrangement going. But that is forthcoming. Got any comments or questions, leave them down below. Feel free to like, subscribe. I do appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching.